and agricultural industry members across the state of Oregon, as well as meeting the department head of the Oregon Agriculture. And she also works with high school agricultural instructors across the state of Oregon. And so she was able to make a lot of connections for me. And there was also some areas that I felt I wanted to improve on to be a successful ag teacher. And she was able to set up those meetings with people that had skill sets that I wanted to learn so that I could be a good agricultural instructor. And so she just was able to challenge me to step out of my comfort zone and to network with individuals. And I really grew from that experience, knowledge-wise, as well as my personal skills in those settings.
And is it R-E and E?
What was that?
Is it R-E?
R-I-A-N-E.
Oh, I spelled the
That's
wrong.
okay.
I spelled Ryan on accident.
Devin, I have a question for you. Jump right in.
I have trouble reading this.
I know, right? Everybody's got that first impression thing that we did.
Yeah.
I still have that envelope.
Good.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Is everybody ready?
Pretend I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna spit. Pretend I'm not.
That was fantastic.
All right, we'll just.
I'll be ready.
You
That's
did
what I'm gonna
improve
say in the end. Pretend I'm not doing it.
Don't chew gum. Don't mind the beer.
Yeah.
Okay, Devin, how do you push yourself to grow as a leader, and why is this approach effective for you?
Well, last year I identified that I could grow in my ability to be a leader, and so I volunteered myself to join the Leadership Academy, which is a program through Oregon State University that helps you develop your own personal goals. And so I joined that group, and over the past year we've been reading books and identifying areas for improvement. And so that has been a really good program for me. It's a way that I've improved my leadership abilities, and I think that I've grown a lot through that program.
Brains.
Martine, I have a question for you.
It's like dry.
I love that you read before. Just looks like
Good afternoon.
Okay, describe a mistake you made when managing a project. What would you do differently if you could do the project over?
I would say throughout my primary experience at Leadership Academy, I was volunteering at a garden at Lincoln Elementary School, and we had a project of pulling out all the weeds from the garden, and I accidentally pulled out some of the stuff that wasn't weeds, and I didn't know, but I think going back over doing that again, I would inform myself more with the project leader and be more aware of what I should and shouldn't do in the project.
Everyone slow down, I'm still writing.
Okay,
Well, there's only one left, and it's Andrew.
Give me a second, okay?
Got a question, Andrew. Are you waiting? Leaving you waiting.
I'm applying to be, let's say right now I want to be a farm manager.
Alright. So can you describe a successful project that you have managed? What were the four keys to your success managing that project?
So through the Leadership Academy, we had to do a primary experience, and my primary experience was coaching a high school wrestling team. So that's kind of a project, is working with these kids and trying to get the potential out of them while they're having fun at the same time. And so the key parts of that project, first I think is communication. Whenever you're coaching somebody in any form, you've got to be able to communicate effectively to them what they need to do, whether that's through actual verbal communication or showing them. Wrestling, it was a lot of actually showing them what they need to do and explaining it to them in a way that they'll understand so they can go out and repeat the same moves over and over and over and do well. Next, I think a key role or a key thing in the project was the role as I guess you call it a mentor or a figurehead, showing that you have a positive attitude all the time towards what they're doing. Even when they have a bad day, you still need to be upbeat. You are, I guess, happy with what you're doing in your life, and things are going well, and you're showing that positivity, I guess. You're being a good role model for the kids. Third key thing in coaching, being able to listen to where they need to be, was the ability to get along with them, I guess. Sometimes they have bad days and they don't want to listen to your coaching, and it's really frustrating. So you need to be able to understand what they're going through. Kind of think back to when you were in high school, or when I was in high school, I was going through practice. Wrestling is a brutal sport. You don't eat a lot, so your body's not functioning as well as it should be. Your brain, you get tired easier, and so when they're not listening, they're not communicating well, and they're kind of just not being nice to you. You got to be nice to them still and be able to coach through that. Fourth key thing in coaching those kids would have been showing up for them. So I was really huge when I went to their wrestling meets. They really enjoyed that. Like, as I was an assistant coach, so I didn't have to go to the meets. I was just more there for practice. But when I go to the wrestling meets, they just loved it. I don't know, this one kid in particular, it seemed like every time I was there, he performed better than when I wasn't there. Like, I'd go one week and I didn't the next week that I went, he just performed so much better. And I don't know if it was me being in the corner or just that he performed better that day. But it was kind of a trend. A couple tournaments I went to, he performed better. So I think being there for the kids and showing that I'm not only concerned with the practice part, but I'm also concerned with the performance, how they're doing on the mat against opponents. That was really important. So wrapping it all up, there was some really key things too that coaching. I learned a lot from it, from the primary experience, and it was really neat to work with those kids and learn my leadership strengths and weaknesses through that.
Should have had you present at my football games in high school.
Huh?
Should have had you present at my football games in high school.
It's tough to think of four. I got two real quick. Once you're done writing, go up there.
Where's the question you just asked Andrew?
Right underneath the one you asked me.
It's the last one in that section.
Two accomplishments?
The fifth question down on the very last page.
Right above leadership development.
Oh, can I have another one sheet of paper? Just keep writing this.
Same sheet.
Are we gonna rotate through and have to do it multiple times?
Yeah, it is.
No,
Probably not everybody, but maybe close. Okay. Oh, okay. You're good. I guess I'll ask you this one. How do you push yourself to grow as a leader? Why is this approach effective for you?
I already asked that question.
We did? Oh, my bad. Okay. That wasn't what I was going to ask anyway. I just lost what I was going to ask. I can't find it. Okay, that's a good one. What are the two accomplishments in any of your job, school, work, or volunteer activities that you're most proud of? Why?
Two examples that I have actually both come from my primary experience working at College Hill Alternative High School. So I chose my primary experience to be at College Hill because I want to be a teacher. And I thought that teaching and mentoring and tutoring in that environment, working with students who don't typically succeed in the typical classroom environment, would be a really great growth opportunity for me as a future teacher. And so one of the examples that I have that I feel pretty proud about was I helped with their horticulture class. And I am actually getting a minor in horticulture. That's one of my areas in agriculture that I really enjoy working in. And the teacher there, she does amazing things with her program. And it's very successful. And it gets awards and everything. And I came in to help with the horticulture department. And I was telling her about things that I was learning in my horticulture classes. And I talked about grafting. And she was like, oh, like I don't know anything about grafting. I haven't taught my students about grafting. And so she asked if I would come in and teach a lesson about grafting. And that I was just there as a volunteer, helping out the students, not to teach. And so that was definitely a growth opportunity for me to teach an agricultural lesson to those students. And I brought in some materials and was able to teach a portion of her class. And so that was a really great growth experience for me that I had in the Leadership Academy that will help me be a better agricultural instructor. And then another experience that I have there, I was working, it was probably my second time working there, and I was there for about 4 hours in the afternoon. And one of the girls that I was working with, she had never written a lab report before. And I spent the entire 4 hours with her writing this lab report. And it was incredibly difficult for her, but I almost think that it was more difficult for me to be really patient during that entire experience for her and to not do the work for her. Like I had to ask her engaging questions to help her stay focused and motivated on this project because there was times that she was getting discouraged and I was getting discouraged, but I couldn't let her see that. And so through that interaction with her, I realized that not every student that you work with is going to be an A student, be on their game, and there's going to be some challenging students that are going to test your patience and your knowledge. And I just had a lot of personal growth through that one experience working with her that will definitely transpire or follow me in my profession as an ag teacher. Mm-hmm.
We have about 8 minutes left, so if you're particularly interested in being asked a question, you may let one of your peers know.
Everybody volunteer once?
Everyone's answering the question, right?
Yeah, that was my first one.
I'd take another one. If someone has one. Give you a time.
I can give you one.
Okay.
Is there, before Andrew gets up there, look at your observer sheets, and if there's anything you say you can improve on, or an area you're really strong on, let Andrew know so he can potentially work on that area in his response.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
That's all.
I wrote that might slow down when explaining. You did pretty good at some points, and sometimes you just got really excited about it.
I don't think you lost your way between transitions, so like when you're
Yeah.
smoothing them out between your points.
I had a really hard time doing that.
I know, you said 4 and I'm like, dang.
I know.
Not even 3, but 4.
One positive thing that I have to say is you did a really good job concluding, like wrapping up your question, because it was kind of a long, response, and then you tie it all back together. I think that's really important. You did well with that. I might eliminate saying "I guess." That way, you can come across more confident.
I noticed you used the word figurehead instead of role model to talk about yourself. Role model is a much better choice. And you went back and used it again later, but role model is good. Figurehead is
Same thing, from Andrew.
Oh, we're thinking of a question for you.
Oh.
I got one.
I thought she
Nicole
Nicole
said she
has
had
one already.
Okay, you ready?
I think so. Alright.
I think
Yeah, confident.
What are the most effective methods that you have found for personal leadership growth? How will you utilize these methods in a work setting?
I think the most effective ways that I have grown as a leader, the effective ways I've taken to grow as a leader have been by becoming involved. When you're involved in things, you're automatically put in leadership opportunities, whether you want it or not. Like at school, I've been involved in many things. Part of those things have been through the Leadership Academy. Just joined Leadership Academy, that was an involvement, and that's been a program that's really helped my leadership and helped me learn more what it's like to be a leader and help me become a leader and recognize the areas that I need to grow as a leader. And that transfers to my involvement in different clubs and activities on school. Leadership Academy has really helped me grow as a leader in my clubs. My mentor experience in the Leadership Academy was really good, talking with him about my club involvement and the leadership experiences I have in those clubs and how I can make those leadership opportunities better. So I think the best way for me to grow as a leader is to become involved in different organizations, meet people, and they will help you become a better leader.
Was there a second part? What was the question?
The question was, what are the most effective methods that you have found for personal leadership growth? How will you utilize these methods in a work setting?
Oh,
Well,
I missed the last
I don't
part.
think the second part was in there.
No.
It's okay, these are long questions.
They are.
I forgot part of,
Yeah.
like after you asked me that question, I forgot.
But isn't it okay to be like, is that what?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
I think there was a second part of the question. Can you repeat that part?
Yeah. One thing I don't know how to put into words is like you talked about club involvement. I might use a specific example in one of the club involvements. But it's really long.
We have time for one more, so if there's somebody.
Caitlin, do you want to go? Oh, come on, it will be a good personal growth
That is very
experience.
much for you.
I've already given up. It's okay.
Oh, no, you
Caitlin,
didn't.
I didn't
Sure, you
Okay, just
That's
a
right,
no,
Jenny.
That means yes.
We have
Yes, there.
this question for you.
Yes, sir. We'll try to pick an easier question for you this time.
Oh, you're saying I get the hard one?
Yeah, you did. Let's pick one that's not a two-parter though. Those are.
Keep it to one
No, you
syllable.
don't. Just a one-parter. Caitlin,
I don't like this.
the one thing I have is confidence.
I don't have any of that, yes I know, but I don't know why I'm acting like this because in a normal interview session, I don't usually have any problems. But there's like 8 of you in here and it's really freaking me out.
Okay, Sarah.
I think I do better than this setting than I do in an actual interview.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like the more people, the more overwhelming it becomes, and then I'm like, what was I doing again?
There was one scholarship that I interviewed for, we were around like a tall table like this big, and there was probably 10 people, like in my face.
Oh,
And I was on the end, it was like the best interviewing experience ever.
You were spread out. Cry.
We're not breathing in our carbon dioxide.
Yep.
Okay, ready?
No.
Yes, you are. Okay, so this question has 2 parts to it. Let me know if you need me to repeat one of them. How have you encouraged leadership growth amongst your peers? And how will you continue to do this in a work setting?
Peers is in with the leadership academy?
Anybody?
Anyone?
It's really awkward. Why is this so hard? It usually is never this hard. I don't understand why I can't think of anything. I don't know. As for, was it helping mentor peers? I don't understand.
How have you encouraged leadership growth amongst your peers? So maybe if you have examples as an RA.
Probably somewhere, but I can't think of it, of course. So I think an example of encouraging leadership with my peers would be my resident assisted. The job title has student leadership in it, but there are a lot of RAs who come in and they're just coming off being freshmen, so they're just starting sophomores themselves, and yet they've been thrown in this position where, all right, now you have to lead everyone else. You've got a floor of 80 people, and you've got one other person with you to help, and that's it. Being put in that position when you're still trying to be a student yourself, Go to all your meetings that you have with student leadership at meetings with their RAs, or being in meetings for club activities like steer your whatever animal science clubs or any you've been in. I don't know why I said that. I don't really know what happened. I ran out of where I was going. Something about being in clubs.
And so, do you have an example of how you've encouraged them to grow in those clubs? Those series?
Well, when they're starting out, they really don't want to do very much other than just, sit in their room and not go out and engage with students. And that to me is really sad because a lot of our job is engaging with students and giving them our experiences, and although they're still new and fresh and only a year into college, they know so much more than they realize. And all the questions you have when you first come in, they forget that they had. So when freshmen come up and they talk to them about it, they